In depth, big picture reporting continues from Fox 32 News. Chicago at the Tipping Point is an ongoing study of the challenges our city and state face and the solutions to create better lives for all. Now, a study of our schools, education at a crossroads.
Fox 32 News spent several months going to school on K through 12 education here in Illinois. We looked at what's good, what's wrong, what's fixable, and what may not be fixable. We consulted dozens of studies and the critiques of the studies. I'm political editor Mike Flannery.
And I'm Robin Robinson. And after all this research, here's the conclusion. The challenges facing our schools reflect the challenges of our communities, of America as a whole. They are symptoms of our larger problems. But schools are also in a unique position. They can be the solutions to our problems if we start doing things right.
Is it a fun way to learn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chicago at the Tipping Point. Education at a crossroads.
Illinois' K through 12 education, 2.1 million students, 128,000 teachers, 3,900 schools, 863 school districts.
In terms of performance, as the teacher might say, we have a lot of potential, but we're not living up to it.
Start teaching the kids at this level right here of what they need to be in the future.
Here are the latest numbers from national assessments that allow for state-to-state comparisons. 34% of Illinois fourth graders are proficient in reading. That's 32nd out of the 50 states. 36% of eighth graders are proficient in math, 23rd out of 50 states. Illinois' high school graduation rate is 82%, 22nd out of the 48 states reporting data. The independent education policy group called Advance Illinois projects just 34% of Illinois public school students will end up graduating from a 2- or 4-year college.
When you get into college, you're going to be able to choose the majority of your classes.
The international comparisons are more humbling. Out of 34 industrial countries, the U.S. ranks 26th in math. Even the top U.S. state, Massachusetts, is 2 full grade levels behind Shanghai, the largest city in China. In reading, America is average, 17th out of 34 countries. In science, 21st out of 34.
In education, Illinois is now a barely average state in a country that's fallen to below average. This will have real-world consequences.
The proof is in the payroll. From 2007 to 2012, Americans with 4-year college degrees gained 2.2 million jobs. Those without a 4-year degree lost 6 million jobs. It's disaster for them and weighs down all of us. Jobs mean self-reliance. Unemployment means dependence on the government. Now more than ever, so do low-wage jobs. Worse yet, where jobs are out of reach, gangs, drug dealing, and violence are more apt to take hold. And there's a bigger picture. The phrase global economy used to mean products could be shipped all over the world. Now it means jobs can be shipped anywhere. Remember all the factories that left Chicago? It could happen with the jobs of the future, too. High-paying employers can and will go wherever people have the advanced skills they need.
Founder of Apple Computer, Steve Jobs, once told President Obama the U.S. should give permanent residency status to any foreign student with a degree in engineering.
America has such a shortage of engineering skills that reforming immigration to allow in more tech workers is one of the few things Republicans and Democrats agree upon. Jobs and technology mean economic and world power. It's how America won the 20th century and how other countries are trying to win the 21st.
We spend more money on education than most countries.
America, over the past decade, was the 5th highest education spending country of 34 industrial nations, $11,500 per student per year. Our performance, though, was on par with Slovakia. It spent $5,300 per student, less than half what we did. The top academic performer, South Korea, spent $8,500 per student.
Within America, the latest state comparable data shows Illinois spending ranks 22nd among the 50 states.
The dominant theory? We're spending our money unwisely. That's not to say we're necessarily overspending, though. Critics point to wide inconsistencies. Big bucks for schools in some places, much smaller money for schools elsewhere.
They are the most fiercely fought over questions in Illinois politics, and they help to explain other fights, including the current battle over the state income tax. When it comes to public school funding, who should pay, and how much is enough? The answers vary more widely here in Illinois than just about anywhere else. At Glenbrook South and its District 225 sister school, Glenbrook North, the answer is property taxpayers. Of the $21,841 spent in 2012 on each pupil, 94% came from local property owners. That's much more than in the average Illinois school district, where local taxpayers provide 66% of school budgets, the state 26%, federal support 8%.
What do they get for all that taxpayer money?
I mean, just recently we got our floor redone in the main gym. We got a new pool, and I mean, like all the technology, everything. We have like access to tons of resources, and it's really nice.
Glenbrook spends 50% more per pupil than the $14,306 at South Suburban Joliet's High School District 204. The district's property tax collections have been hit hard by the loss of all the town's once thriving steel mills, as well as other factories.
I think there are many programs right now that the district would like to offer to the students that they can't.
Okay, that's a good guess.
The Elgin area's Unit District 46 extends into 17 towns in the northwest suburbs. It is Illinois' biggest school system outside Chicago, and like the big city, educates from pre-kindergarten through high school. Students here are starting to look more like those in Chicago. 60% are low income. 1/4 speak only limited English. U46 spends $9,661 per pupil, less than the statewide average $11,842. And this may be a surprise. Chicago, at $13,433 per pupil, spends almost 1/3 more. There are schools that prove money's not everything, nor even the most important thing. At the intersection of Will, Kendall, and Grundy counties, the rapidly growing Minooka School District 201 runs 7 elementary schools. They spend an average $7,495 per student, among the very lowest of any elementary school district in Illinois. Still, Walnut Trails Elementary in Shorewood and other District 201 schools have been honored 5 years in a row with National Bright Star Awards for achieving academic excellence on relatively small budgets.
It's an award our kids have worked hard for, our children have done tremendous work, certainly our staff and our parents have worked hard for, but the reality of it is we're very efficient in our school district.
They've certainly had no choice. District 201's total real estate values crashed in the recession from about $900 million down to about $700 million. As property tax collections fell short, one budget-cutting strategy was to increase class size.
We've got class sizes on average at our junior high school at about 33, 34 students in a class.
That's high.
That is high. And there's no research anywhere that says that's good for teaching and learning.
Future, yes, you got it.
Other countries do things much differently than we do. In the vast majority of advanced nations, they either spend the same amount educating every student or spend more money educating students with lower incomes. It's a concept called equity, as in equity of opportunity.
The idea is to give every student the school resources he or she needs to have an equal chance to succeed. Equity is characterized by spending authority much more centralized than ours. In America, 14% of the money schools get comes from the federal government. The average among other advanced nations is 54%. Some countries, like Canada, centralize spending at the province level, the equivalent of doing it by state. The American system of reliance on property taxes, collecting and spending education money locally, is a global exception.
Americans overwhelmingly favor equal educational opportunity for every child. But we also tend to favor local control over schools, and there's no agreement at all on how to make the funding at each school equal.
Still, the underperformance of our students is linked to differences in family income. Remember, we said 34% of Illinois fourth graders are proficient in reading? Look inside that number. Students from moderate to high-income families read proficiently 52% of the time. Now look at students from low-income families, just 16% are proficient. The difference between low and higher income students is called the achievement gap. Illinois has the fourth widest achievement gap in America in reading. In 8th grade math, the third widest. And here's your tipping point. Low income is becoming the norm. 50% of Illinois public high school students are now low income. In Chicago, 85% of public school students are from low income families.
This is not just a theoretical debate about fairness. It's also about having a skilled workforce. The middle class is evaporating. The wealthy alone cannot carry our economy. There just aren't enough rich people.
There's a huge upside to better educating our kids. One study found if American students were on par with top performers Finland and South Korea, it could add more than $2 trillion a year to the U.S. economy.